Cool. Super. Right. It's time for moving towards the new progress spirits. Okay, cool. Interesting, yeah, because the new bits are something controls. With the map to go over to the set of breakfast. Very accomplished. Yes, as there's a paragraph in with the inter image right instead of sign. So P, this is an image reference. The text on the screenshot, so this is an image element. However, the text currently says this is an element that will be completely HTML processes the less than followed by an instrument tagging happy. So, to fix this issue, you can use HTML tools. As I'm rated as I'm using the correct HTML entities for the less than greater than two. So this is on LT image greater than. And this type of paragraph references more described as name paragraph references. Name references start with the ampersand and then with the semicolon. By using a name paragraph reference, this semicolon will not conclude this, but how much you need to elements. Here is what the edited paragraph element looks like on the page. This is an image element. Now users will be able to see the entire image element syntax as you intended it. This memory reference is an example of this line where reference for the less than symbol. Right. And screen code and screen. So let's look um, for this should be 60. Right. Makes sense. 60 represents it's mostly binary code this this the American standard code perfect the change representation for symbol which is probably standard set of runs and take characters. Right. Doesn't quite have P code. Phew. Okay. Very far relation symbol. I tried this one code, no, this one I'm not sure. For less than some this is 60. Okay. You just write it character reference. So this is Name character. So, name character references. Um, since uh, starts with impression. Um, of so like impression and with semicolons. Why don't you know how to find each one by how I'm confused? Basically, not to statements. That's what you're with a powerful it's like. Right. Let me type a correspondence with decimal or preference. And also decimal numeric reference. Like reference. In an example of using decimal numeric reference. But that's not symbol. So would be 16. This character reference starts with the ampersand sign in Russian, followed by one of the more decimal digits, and then followed by semicolon. The last type of character reference would be the hexadecimal, and this is an image element. Right. Mm-hmm. That was 1% sign. Followed by one of the decimal digits, followed by semicolon. Okay, this next step of character reference would be the hexadecimal character. Here's an example of using the hexadecimal where reference for the less than some goal. Let me see. Okay. This it looks like so that's my preference. So from was interesting hours X theory C. Gather reference start with ampersand, sign, hash symbol, and the letter X. Then it is followed by one or more ASCII X, and then with a semicolon. So what are some other examples of using HTML? This first, we often see them used for symbols like copyright symbol, quote, trademark symbol, and then besides sounds. So, often entities, um, this, um, um, copyright, um, quote, and trademark symbols, symbols, and then, so, yeah, cool. Questions. What is an HTML institute of reference? Something like reference. What is an HTML institute of reference? Uh, um, yes. Mm, mm, It's an instrument to provide a reference. It's a reference to represent the software within HTML as well. What are the three types of character references? Uh, named named decimal numeric and hexadecimal numeric character references. What is which of the following is the correct syntax for named character reference? We have an ampersand. This one sounds check for himself. Mm, The script element is used to embed executable code. Most developers will use this to execute JavaScript code. JavaScript is used to add interactivity to your web pages. Common examples of using JavaScript include interactive games, image sliders, and download fonts that validate user inputs in real time. Okay? Here's an example of using the script element in an HTML document. So you have the body tag, then you have the script. Right. In this example, we have an alert to display the message, welcome to freecodecamp. When the page first loads, the alert will pop up. Then the user can click on the OK button to dismiss the message. Um, okay. While you can technically write over JavaScript code inside as a script styles, it's considered best practice to link to an external script file, JavaScript file instead. Here's an example of using script element to link to an external JavaScript file. You have script inside the body element. SRC equals the path to JavaScript file of JS script can. And SRC attribute is used to specify the location of the external class. Well, it's also system for source. The reason why it's not encouraged to place your JavaScript inside the HTML document is because of separation of concerns. Separation of concerns is a design principle where you separate your program into distinct sections and have each section address separate concern. Okay, so separation of concerns equals zero separate one one and then separate into distant sections. Concern and let's get from separate JavaScript. Separate them. Separate position of the JavaScript code from a listing code. JavaScript code and which attribute is used to link to an external JavaScript file with less than attribute? One separation of concerns. A section of section address separate concern assurance. Each of the following is the correct syntax for linking to linking instance. SEO or search engine optimization, the practice that optimizes web pages so they become more visible and rank higher on search engines, right? One way to improve your site's SEO is to provide a short description for the web page using the meta elements. Okay? Here's an example of using a meta element to set the page description for a gardening site. So meta name equals description, content equals to discover expert tips and techniques for gardening in small spaces. Right. By setting a name attribute to description, it ensures the browser, search engines, and other web tools correctly interpret this metadata. The content attribute is where you will place your description. Right. It's recommended that you keep your descriptions short and concise. This is because search engines will often truncate the description based on the result page length. Okay. So, good. So, in meta tag, right? Keep description short and concise. It's concise. Ensures browser search engines and other web tools. By setting the name attribute to description, it ensures that browsers search engines interpret. Interpret. I said, similar to other types of meta elements, the meta description will not be visible in the web page itself. One place where the page description can be found is in the search engine result page snippets. That's right. In some examples of frequent, yeah, so I frequent, this is a official subreddit for the frequent available for free. So it's includes online information. This is the official subreddit for the frequent with automatic launch code for free to get out of millions, blah blah blah. So, but you can't see the entire show. It's the anti-code for free to get in. More about this page. It's not. The example page of the page descriptors are located just beneath site links, that's right. Within a couple of seconds, users can get a general sense of what the page is about. You decide to click on the link for more information. That's right. Even though the meta descriptions wouldn't directly affect the site's ranking on search engine, having a strong description could result in more traffic to the website. Each element each element is used to set the description for a web page. Description meta. What does this search engine optimization? Where does the page description to the visual set? Hmm, It's not here to hang on now, no. What is the role of open graph tags and how do they affect SEO? The Open Graph protocol enables you to control a website company that plays across various social media platforms, LinkedIn, and many more. By setting these Open Graph properties, you can entice users to want to click and engage with your content. You can set these properties through a collection of meta elements inside the HTML head section. The first important Open Graph property to include the title. Here's an example of OG title for the full content. The property attributes.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a
Hi and welcome to Programming Percy, and today we will be talking about the Open Graph protocol. So we will be talking about how and why you should use it on your website to make your website a lot better. So I hadn't thought about it before. How does Twitter, Facebook, and other social media know how to display my website when I share it in a post? I never considered that before. But then I began rebuilding my own website using SvelteKit. And when I was done, I was super psyched that I was going to share my site on Twitter. So imagine my disappointment when I copied the link inside my tweet and the tweet preview looked a little bit boring. So kind of like this. Now I restarted searching why, and I learned about the Open Graph protocol. The Open Graph protocol is a standardized way of representing data on your website inside other websites. Consider it as a business card for your website or even web page, so you can have different previews for different pages on your site. So after applying the protocol to my website, my tweet instead looks a lot more intriguing, and people will probably be a lot more interested in my site when it looks like this. So the protocol is actually really easy to implement. There are many different tags to learn, but to get started you only need to know 4 of them. The protocol relies on the meta tags inside your web page's head, which other websites can read and understand to know how to preview. So let's talk a little bit about Open Graph meta tags. Open Graph meta tags are a set of meta tags that can be added to the head of an HTML document to provide additional information about how the content of that page looks. This information can then be used by social media platforms or other websites to provide a richer preview of that page whenever it is shared, such as a title, description, an image, a video, or other details. So to begin adding Open Graph meta tags to your HTML document, you can use the meta element with the property attribute. So you set the property equals to OG, which is short for Open Graph, and then you set the content type to whatever you want to display. This meta tag we see uses the OG title property to specify the title of the web page, and it uses the content attribute to provide the value for that property. And you can add as many Open Graph meta tags as you want to your HTML document, and it will use the latest tag that it finds, so you can have duplicates. There's not much reason for having duplicates, but just so you know, it will select the latest one.
The first important OG property to include would be the title. As an example of setting the OG title. Alright, for a free code camp on page 5. So my type of thing, free code camp in the org property for the title. For the property attribute, you need to specify that it is OG title. The content attribute is where you write the title you want displayed for social media sites. For the property attributes, you need to specify that it is OG title. Attribute is where you provide the title you want displayed. Just like just like with type, it's where you provide title. Okay. Property equals to OG title. Content equals to free code count. Title of the page. Right. So the title would be rebuild my website with my blog with Felt Kit. Right. Okay. Meta content, we could get about the OG title. And property attributes, you would need to specify the OG title. The content attributes is where you write it as you want display for social media sites. Let me show it so I'm gonna play right title. Social media sites, right? Next content OG property will be the tag. Here's an example of using the OG tag for the free code camp homepage. So meta property, OG tag, content, websites. Okay. The type of property is used to represent the type of content being shared on social media. Example of this content include articles, website videos, or music. The third important OG property will be the image. As an example of setting the OG image for a free code camp homepage. So content will be this, property will be the OG image. Right. So content would be is where you want to write the title you want to display for your social media sites. Okay. In this example, the open graph image is pointing to the free code camp logo. All of these images should be high quality with good dimensions and ratios. Most social media platforms will include criteria for image requirements to help you ensure that your content displays well on the site. For example, developers of Facebook.com documentation page states use images that are at least 1200 by 630 pixels for the best display on high resolution devices. At the minimum, you should use images that are 600 by 315 pixels to display link page posts with larger images. Use images that are at least 1200 by 630 pixels. At display on high resolution devices, at the minimum, you should use images that are 600 by 315 pixels to display link page posts with larger images. Right. The fourth important object property will be the URL. Here's an example of setting the OG URL for the free program homepage. Meta property OG URL. Okay. Content is this. There is more OG properties you can set, like description, audio, video, locale. However, the open graph URL image type and title are the most important ones to include. So how do these open graph properties affect SEO? When your content is shared on social media, right? Well-crafted web pages can enhance the appearance of your content in users' feeds. Right, that makes sense. This can lead to higher click-through rates, which could signal to search engines that your content is relevant and engaging. Ah, makes sense. Okay, so we have content content, attributes, what the value that content attributes here you will write the type from you this product. It's science, original time, origin time, origin time, so origin time, time, and property used to represent the time with content, content people share in social media. Notifications, websites, videos, music, yeah, original, OG image, OG image. Usually don't accept the OG image for the free code count on page. The open graph image responsive to the free code count logo, right. Okay, showing the high quality, with good dimensions and ratios, operations and ratios. Okay, so the content attribute contains the content attribute contains the what would that be? Then yeah, cool. Now the next one is edition. So there are many more OG more OG properties in that you can set description, photo, video, and record. Overjoyed, image, type, title, next, buttons, button, and code. So I just open with what I've got SEO. When you contact share there, you control it. So OG, OG properties, and um, um, I am, um, um, what have I done? Um, not shared. It's social media. These are open graph properties. So for embedding data from the content directly into web pages, to set this is not different, but anything I remember, for embedding directly, no, to set our website and understanding of different streams. What does the property it must be adjusted now. Direct a browser to display specific, not enough. Into the web page content where it is shared. What's the project type? It selects the page before comes down. It triggers properly. Specify the type of content based on the web page sharing. Then you can travel agency page. So
Actually really easy to implement. There are many different tags to learn, but to get started you only need to know 4 of them. The protocol relies on the meta tags inside your web page's head, which other websites can read and understand to know how to preview. So let's talk a little bit about Open Graph meta tags. Open Graph meta tags are a set of meta tags that can be added to the head of an HTML document to provide additional information about how the content of that page looks. This information can then be used by social media platforms or other websites to provide a richer preview of that page whenever it is shared, such as a title, description, an image, a video, or other details. So to begin adding Open Graph meta tags to your HTML document, you can use the meta element with the property attribute. So you set the property equals to OG, which is short for Open Graph, and then you set the content type to whatever you want to display. This meta tag we see uses the OG title property to specify the title of the web page, and it uses the content attribute to provide the value for that property. You can add as many Open Graph meta tags as you want to your HTML document, and it will use the latest tag that it finds, so you can have duplicates. There's not much reason for having duplicates, but just so you know, it will select the latest one. So here's a list of the most commonly used Open Graph properties. We have the Open Graph title, which is the title of the page. This should be really brief and a descriptive title that summarizes the whole content. We have the Open Graph description, which is a brief description of the whole page. It should be a few sentences and provide much more detail about the content of your page. We have OG image, which of course is the image to represent the whole page. And you have the URL, which is the URL linking to that page. Pretty self-explanatory. So to understand which tag relates to what, let's have a look at my improved tweet. And we can see the OG image is of course the image, and the OG description, as you can see, has more room, so it can be a little bit longer. And the OG title, which is short, the OG URL is displayed under the image and is here. In addition to these properties, there are many other Open Graph properties that you can use to specify additional information about your page, such as the type of the page. Is it an article, for instance? Or the author of the page? Or published date, the date it was published, for instance. So you can find a complete list if you visit the Open Graph Protocol's website. As you can see, they also showcase the first 4 that we have been discussing, and there's a lot more meta tags, and you can do a lot of things with this, but the first 4 ones are the most important to have, so you can have this really nice preview whenever somebody shares your link. So for instance, we can take a look at the Open Graph meta tags on my website when I'm done. And they look like this. And you can view them by opening the developer tool by either right-clicking and select inspect on a website, or you can press F12 to bring up the developer tool. I have pretty many of them. And actually, the most important one I want you to see is that notice how some of them are OG, which is Open Graph, but some of them are Twitter. So Twitter, for instance, has their own meta tags which are specific for their website and how they will handle the meta tags. This is something to take into consideration. So different social media has something called alternate tags. They have their own tags. I think most of them will default to the OG tag if there is no other tag. But for instance, for Twitter, if you want to your image to fill the whole tweet as it does in my page, instead of just being a small image in the corner, you have to specify the Twitter card tag and say that it's supposed to be summary large image, as we can see I've done inside of my meta tag. So to find out more about which meta tags are available for Twitter, etc., you can visit developer.twitter.com. It will show you all the available tags that they have and a little explanation about them. The same thing goes for Facebook and others. And you can find links inside the Open Graph protocol at the bottom. They have links for related, all the related sources, and for instance from Facebook, for Google. So it might be good to take a little look at how they do it for each specific media. Now,
Good enough. Extension is similar to the example projects. Example projects. Okay. So right. Objective: fulfill the user stories below and get all the tests to pass to complete lab. You should have a doc type declaration. Boiler with code. First, so you have Dr. HTML, open and closing tag. Okay. And then you have, okay. So the HTML language equals to EN. Then you have the head, then you have the body. Yes, let's put the body down. In the head, you have yes. So you have the head meta translate to step 8, meta name viewport content with device. Content with equals device with initial scale equals to 1.0. The meta HTTP equals equals to next UA compatible content is not tied to HTML5 boilerplate update. Link rel equals to style sheets, culture equals to style with CSS and head. You should have a doc type declaration. You should have an HTML element with lang set to. Yeah. You should have a head element containing a meta void element with char set to UTF-8, UTF-8, and title with text traveling agency page. Yeah, that's the page. You should have a meta tag in your head element that contains a short description of your website. Meta tag in your head element. Meta. Influential content generally informs and interests users with a short relevant summary of what a particular page is about. They are like picture. They are like a picture convinces the user that the page is exactly what they're looking for. So, it comes to like, on the travel agency page, you should have an H1 element to present your travel destinations. So then we go to the body. And then H1, H1, um, destination. I have an H1 element to present your travel destinations. Travel, nice travel destinations. You should have a paragraph below the H1 element. The, mm, below the H1 element. Sorry, don't make this. Alright, let's see this. You should have an H1 present travel. You should have a paragraph below the H1 element introducing the travel opportunities. You should have travel opportunities. Pursuing art, focus, food, nature, and more. Choose among our wide selection of guided tours and excursion knowledge are not for the experiments, exploring, for destination. Right, cool. You should have an H1 element to present your travel destinations. Done that, you should have a paragraph below. Done that, you should have an H2 element with the text packages. H2, H2, yeah. Packages. You should have a paragraph element producing before the various packagings. Right. So, um, uh, we all find extensive range of other decisions to accommodate and we all find extensive range of other solutions to accommodate needs of our clients. Right. From there, expressions which was this to thorough tours of leading villages and medieval towns to uh discover the medieval towns that was just let's get about that. Send out the first stop. So that's it. You should have an ordered list element with two items. Okay, so how do we do that? We have all unordered. We have an email, bam, 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 UL. And then inside the UL, you should have an access order and maybe shift over. Group travels, and private tours, respectively. The text of each item should be enclosed by an anchor element. So, A, O, H, equals to A, H, equals to, is that how it works? Anchor element, three anchor elements should have each element with the text top itineraries. Right. That's what it is. Yes. Okay. So you should have each tournament with text top itineraries. Each turn. Each turn. Top. I don't know. Itineraries. Right. You should have at least three figure elements, each containing an anchor element and a fake caption element. You should have at least three figure elements. Piece of content elements, potentially with an optional caption and fake caption elements. Uh, image, image, that's okay, cool. Top itineraries, plus three figure elements. Okay, okay. With okay. Each containing an anchor element and fake caption, just like this. So, href equals um, href equals to that and fake caption. Element and fake caption element should have an image element with an appropriate font attribute and an SRC attribute. Okay, starting to get confused. How do you top itinerary is to figure href. We want to start this one. We want to have a fake caption. A fake caption. Okay. Fake caption. Right. You can top itinerary figure image of fake caption. Okay. Ethereum coordinates have an image attributes to have an image element. Um, okay. Yes, yes, okay. So, right. This is done. So the href calls the then image tag, which is self closing point. Is that the thing? And then another one. SRC would be equal to attributes of this. Okay, not quite. So, right, makes sense. Okay, so we have all the attributes of this also is this, right, this also equal to this. Okay, perfect. I don't know, no, go. I don't know, resolve, go. I don't know. You can't put points. Control. Shut up, bound, cool, bound. Right. So, ahref source will be equal to this, which is going to be equal to this bubble right here. The alternative would be the Colosseum in Rome, Italy. That Colosseum, what right? Seum, S-E-U, Seum, S-S-E-U. Okay. Colosseum in Rome, Italy. That's, that's right. Perfect. Now, source would be equal to, you I don't know what this is, but the Alps does seem to be what we were given. The Northern Alps. Let's put the Alps. fake caption would be the thing. The, the, so the apps, the collection environment of the apps, and then image essence equal to this, so theme, and then C, right? Yeah, the blue ocean, um, Santorini, Greece, Santorini, Greece, C, Norway, the Alpha, C, the Santorini, Greece, the Alps, nothing else. Perfect. A blue sea in Santorini, Greece. Right. Okay. All the five anchor elements should have an attribute attribute with the value of this. And the target blank. Right. See. Attribute. Boom. Attribute. Boom. And attribute. Boom. Right. And then targets should be um target element. Target attribute. If the attribute of target equals to blank, which means if you click on the link, it will take you to different websites, a different tab. Yeah, href and this. So target to be set to register blank. Target equals to register blank. Program equals to register blank. Target equals to register blank. Yeah, does that make any sense? So national nature looks like sounds as I don't care about it. I'm gonna put my screen on this. It doesn't matter. On tests. One meta element should have name attribute with description. That's right. And a non-empty content attribute. That's right. Name attribute should be description. Okay. Meta name equals to description. Description. Non-empty content attributes. Right. So content would be equal to this is a tracker this page. That's the only wow, okay now. Both your list items should contain an anchor element. Right. So href was this bubble right here. choosing someone. The anchor element of the second list should drop the text private thoughts. Oh, that's right. Of course. To a group AHF, that is true. So, this should be so A, right? You know, should drop the text private thoughts. His group travels down from so, yeah. Stand That's the only problem. Each ref is equal to this. The group travels. So each ref. So anchor elements. So each ref visits www. But it's not. Let me do that. So each ref. This group travels. It's complementary. Still, they do. Both your list items should contain a anchor element. They do. Of course they do. Brilliant. Right. So control tab. Right. Each A element should have a target attribute with the value of blank. Okay. Which will be cute. But it's not really. It says. Um, oh, right. Target equals to underscore blank. So beside href is that target to that. Right? That's what I did. Target attribute with all of this. Target equals to blank, and target is also equal to blank. So, come on, is that the only problem? That's the only one. Right, it will be resolved. Each A element in target stems become target to be equal to that. Target is equal to the okay, definition of research. Data equals to one. Equals to blank. This is what space cleaning code. Image, image SMS files. You can run. Oh my goodness. Don't run. Don't run. Don't run. Get close to it. Okay. Let's go. Well, don't run. Do not equals to, let's go. Blank. Nothing. Thank you. Let's go.
What's the role of the HTML audio and video element, and how do they work? The audio and video elements allow you to add sound and video content to your HTML documents. The audio element supports popular audio formats like MP3, WAV, and OGG. The video format supports MP4, OGG, and WebM formats. To include audio content on your web page, you can use the audio element with the src attribute pointing to the location of your audio file. If you try to run this example, you'll see that nothing shows up on the page. However, if you inspect the page with the developer tools, you'll see the audio element is indeed on the page. If you want to see the audio player on the page, then you can add the audio element with the controls attribute. The controls attribute enables users to manage audio playback, including adjusting volume and pausing or resuming playback. The controls attribute is a Boolean attribute that can be added to an element to enable built-in playback controls. If omitted, no controls will be shown. This is what the example looks like rendered on the web page. Apart from the source and control attributes, there are several other attributes that enhance the functionality of the audio element. The loop attribute is a Boolean attribute that makes the audio replay continuously. Here's an example of using the loop attribute to play one of Quincy Larson's songs titled Can't Stay Down. When the song reaches the end, it will loop back around and play it again from the beginning. Another attribute you can use is the muted attribute. When present in the audio element, this Boolean attribute will start the audio in a muted state. Here's an example of using the muted attribute. When you start the song in the browser, you'll not hear anything. To hear the music, you would need to click on the volume icon like this. When it comes to audio file types, there are differences in which browsers support which type. To accommodate this, you can use source elements inside the audio element, and the browser will select the first source that it understands. Here's an example of using multiple source elements for an audio element. The browser will first start with the OGG type, and if it can't play the audio, then it will move down to the next type in the list. All the attributes we have learned so far are also supported in the video element. Here's an example of using video element with the loop, controls, and muted attributes. For the src or source attribute, we are using a video called Big Buck Bunny from archive.org. If you wanted to display an image while the video is downloading, you can use the poster attribute. This attribute is not available for audio elements and is unique to the video element. Here's an example of using the poster attribute with content provided by peach.blender.org. This example is also using the width attribute to set the width to 620 pixels so the video fits better on the screen. Here's what the example looks like rendered on the page.
Okay, so when it comes to audio form factor differences, what are the roles of HTML audio and video elements in audio data? In video elements allow to load sound and video content to also documents. Suppose popular audio formats like MP3, WAV, and OGG. The video elements supports MP4, HDR, and M formats. To include audio content in your web page, you can use the audio element with the src attribute pointing to the location of your audio file. So audio src will be interesting to visualize. If you try to run this example, you see that nothing shows up on the page. Inspect the page with the developer tools. You see the audio element is indeed on the page. If you want to see the audio player on the page, then you can add audio element to the controls attribute. Okay. The controls attribute enables users to manage audio playback, including adjusting volume and pausing or resuming playback. The controls attribute is a Boolean attribute that can be added to an element to enable built-in playback controls. If omitted, no control will be shown. Apart from the SRC and control attributes, there are several other attributes that enhance the functionality of the audio elements. Okay. Check. Mm. The loop attribute is a Boolean attribute that makes the audio play continuously. Not using the loop attribute to play none of coincidence based. Yeah. Next step subject for clear website image social small which is relevant to the subsidiary of the transition coding group. However, select-custom loans and ancestral brand and its expanding its presence in the market. It's comparable to customers of satisfaction offering product and growing network of service and business support expensive for you.
We live in a van and
Starlink is space-based internet. We've got a constellation of satellites. We'll soon have about 4,000 satellites. We have more satellites in operation than the rest of Earth combined. Starlink is
We live in a van and we have been using Starlink for the last 3 months, and here is our pros and cons list. Pros: internet is fast, unlimited data usage, good coverage, it works at very remote areas where we had no phone reception, no hidden cancellation fees. You can cancel this service whenever you want and reconnect when you need. Easy to install. You just need to plug the router into the power point and the dish to the router. Cons: it's a bit expensive. We paid $450 for the unit and now pay a monthly fee of $170. Starlink requires a clear view of the sky. If you're in an area with lots of trees or buildings, the internet will most likely be patchy. It draws a lot of power. Be careful as it can suck the batteries down quick. Let us know if you have any questions.
What exactly is Starlink? I mean, you hear it's really revolutionized the way we access the internet.
Starlink is
What exactly is Starlink? I mean, you hear it's really revolutionized the way we access the internet, but could you easily explain it or understand how it works? Unlike traditional internet, which relies on ground-based infrastructure like fiber optic cables and cell towers, Starlink satellites form a mesh network in space, communicating with each other using lasers and with ground stations and radio waves. But here's the thing, when you use Starlink, your special dish antenna tracks these fast-moving satellites, automatically switching connections as they move overhead. And this setup is groundbreaking because it can provide high-speed internet almost anywhere on Earth, even in remote areas where laying cables is impractical or maybe not financially feasible. The low orbit of the satellites significantly reduces travel time. But it brings up a question, then why don't we all just use Starlink? It's important to note that Starlink does come with really high costs, which is why we don't use it everywhere. Additionally, each satellite has limited capacity, leading to slower speeds in areas with many users. But I mean, despite these limitations, Starlink really has changed the way that we can access the internet. What exactly is
So I've had my Starlink for about a week now, and here are 7 things you need to know before you buy. First, this needs constant power supply to work. So either you have an inverter backup or one of those huge battery packs that you can plug something like this to, not small power bank. The speed is great and consistently between 50 to 250 Mbps, but the upload speeds are significantly poor. I had to rely on my MTN for uploads. The monthly subscription is about $42. That's somewhere around 32,000 naira. Now it seems unlimited, but I think there's a 1 terabyte cap after which fair usage applies and it gets throttled. But the data you use between 11 p.m. and I think 7 a.m. is free. It doesn't have an Ethernet port, so you have to buy the adapter separately at extra cost. The Wi-Fi range is standard, nothing special, but if you are getting it for business purposes, you might need to get their mesh to extend the range, which is going to cost you additional $186 for one. There's no easy way to reach Starlink support, so if you have any issues, you have to research and probably find a way to create a ticket. There is no customer service to call and yell at. Don't forget to come out and vote tomorrow. So I've had my Starlink for about a week now. So I've had my Starlink for about a week now, and here are 7 things you need to know before you buy. First, this needs constant power supply to work. So either you have an inverter backup or one of those huge battery packs that you can plug something like this to, not small power bank. The speed is great.
Settings. Here's so inside this box, it's probably one of the most advanced Starlinks, as this is the Starlink Mini. And in this video, we're not just gonna only unbox it and see what's included, but also talk about the price, some Q&As, and literally everything you need to know about buying one of these. Of course, I'll be running some performance tests too to show you how these numbers look like in the real world. And I'll also be highlighting some accessories you should definitely consider picking up for one of these Starlinks. Now, the Mini recently hit the market a couple months ago after making this video. And some of the important things you need to know when choosing between the Mini and the Standard is, as the time making this video, the Standard can be purchased for just $299 and can also be owned at a nicer discount for $199, all depending on the region you're in. Here in California, I could have got the regular one for just $299. But since I do a lot of traveling off the grid, glamming, or even like off-road events I'm attending, I don't have reception. And ever since I found out how small this thing is, the Starlink Mini, look at that. It's no bigger than a sheet of paper. And to measure this in real time, it's about 1 feet tall and about 10 inches wide. And the thickness, it's about almost 2 inches, slightly less, between 2 inches and 1.5 inches. Weight-wise, this weighs about good, like 2 pounds it feels like. And the instruction guide is literally printed right here on the box. It does come with a power cable, which is a length up to 50 feet. And also some brackets, accessories if I want to like mount this to a pole, I'm assuming. This simply just attaches here and connects. And the power wall adapter, which this is 1.6 amps, about 60 watts. And it uses one of these DC chargers. And then a sheet of paper about regulatory notes. And that's basically it. So now transitioning from standing up to sitting down, let me talk about how much everything costs, including taxes. So the Mini by itself is $599. It's $20 shipping, that's not free. And with taxes and everything in total of $44.
Beaming internet from the middle of the woods using an extra-large pizza-sized satellite dish placed on top of your house, up to a satellite orbiting 550 kilometers outside Earth's atmosphere, well, let's be honest, is technologically mind-blowing. What's even crazier is that the Starlink satellites move incredibly fast, around 27,000 kilometers per hour, and data is being sent back and forth between
Starlink
them
is
at
now available
hundreds
in
of...
Nigeria, and a lot of you asked some questions about it. So Starlink is a satellite internet operated by Elon Musk SpaceX, and we're the first African country to receive their service. The satellite reportedly orbits the Earth closer than regular geo satellites. All you need to do is point your device to the sky, whether you're in Lekki or in the village, and you have fast internet. They claim the latency is 20 milliseconds and is between 50 to 500 Mbps, which we'll test it out. I paid $99 to pre-order this, and the final amount came down to $488. However, if you're just buying it newly, it should be around $600. You will need a dollar card, either your domiciliary account or services like Payday or GoTalk. And if you're paying with the black market rate, that will run you around 450,000 naira, which is just a lot of money. Keep in mind that the monthly cost is also stated as 19,260 naira, but it will be more. Please leave a comment below with what you would like to see in our review, or if you have any other questions. Starlink is now available in Nigeria.
megabits per second, all while the dish and satellite are continuously angling or steering the beam of data pointed directly between them. On top of that, the dish switches between
older satellite systems like HughesNet and Viasat put their satellites really high up and keep them stationary over one spot on the surface, which lets them cover huge areas. The HughesNet Jupiter 2 satellite covers all of the continental United States. But when you're up that high, it takes a really long time to send those radio waves that we talked about back and forth, which means that your latency is very high. If you brought those satellites lower, you could reduce that time, but you'd need more of them to cover the same area, and to stay at that altitude, they'd need to orbit. This is what all of the big projects that you've heard about are doing, though they're at different stages. Project Kuiper hasn't launched yet, OneWeb has, but was rescued from bankruptcy in 2020 and is focusing primarily on businesses, not individuals. In this race, Elon Musk is winning.
Starlink is here.
We have the magic space Wi-Fi.
That's right. Internet from the stars, baby. Pew, 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 pew.
So let's take a look at what's inside.
Here we go.
We've got a satellite dish, a router, and fast internet.
There's just 2 instructions, and they can be done in either order. Point at sky, plug in.
Voila!
Not gonna lie, Starlink is already shockingly high bandwidth and low latency for a satellite system. It seems to be somewhere in the middle on cost, but these comparisons aren't great because fiber isn't everywhere, which is the whole point, and Starlink is still in its infancy, which you can kind of see in other ways too.
Everything was going fine until I encountered its ultimate nemesis. Trees.
That red is where it's being interrupted.
That sucks.
It could get a lot better though. Starlink uses visible light between satellites, like the fiber cables in the ocean, which means that these satellites actually have an advantage over cables. You've probably heard that the speed of light is constant, but that refers to light in a vacuum, like space. It's slower in other materials, like a glass cable. The optimistic take here is that Starlink could challenge not just other satellites, but fiber itself, the GOAT. The more likely scenario is that Starlink wins in some places, but fiber still wins in the vast majority. But just look at this. This is a site that tracks where Starlink satellites are already. This is so cool. But if you're an astronomer, for example, looking up at the stars, these satellites can really mess up your science.
I think it's really a threat to send not a couple of hundred satellites, but having 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 satellites in low Earth orbit.
This is a really big deal, and even if you like Starlink, it shouldn't be dismissed. Ground-based astronomy is crucial to answering our questions about the universe. And if that's not enough for you, then it also includes planetary defense against asteroids. My take is we need to give the remaining 4 billion people on the planet internet access. And at the same time, we can't let looking at each other prevent us from looking up. We need to find ways to do both, whether that's more data on exactly where these satellites are so they can be avoided, or more rules about where they can be. These companies have a real shot at giving people around the world better, faster, cheaper internet. They're already coming to the rescue in moments of crisis. Elon Musk just announced that Starlink is active in Ukraine, and if Russia doesn't like it, they can shake their fist at the sky. There's something extremely powerful happening here. In general, if what these companies provide ends up better and faster, so higher bandwidth and lower latency, but not cheaper, well, it's mostly left for those who can pay for it. High-frequency traders, wealthy people. Fine, but not world-changing. The real impact happens when we use technology to make things better, faster, and cheaper. To turn luxuries into commodities, to take things that wealthy people had access to and make them available to everyone. We've done this before, with everything from refrigerators to iPhones, to the internet to some extent. So can it continue? And what's the impact if it does? Research shows that where the internet goes, job growth follows. More new businesses get formed, fewer people are unemployed. People have better health outcomes, better access to education. We saw all of this to an extreme when the pandemic started. New satellite systems could be a huge part of this, along with more investment in the systems that most of us rely on right now. Our internet infrastructure is a monument to human creativity and hard work and the desire to connect. It blows me away, but it's not finished.
This is like a crazy. This is like a crazy amount of power for one piece of technology, and it's happened to us so fast.
You just launched GPT-5.
A kid born today will never be smarter than AI.
How do we figure out what's real and what's not real?
We haven't put a sexbot avatar in ChatGPT yet.
Super intelligence. What does that
Mm-hmm.